Hey guys, welcome back to the Western Vocal channel of Sif Young Artist, where we nurture the artist in you. I'm Anirudh and welcome back to yet another live session of our Western Vocals Beginners course. Today is session number 6, and if you're joining us for the first time, make sure to go back after this live and have a look at the previous 5 lessons. So over this course, we are covering a lot of the basics that you need to get good at singing Western music. Right? So as I mentioned, I'm Anirudh, and if you're joining us for the first time, you can go back and watch lessons 1 to 5 after this live. Today is lesson number 6, and also we are here every Monday at 4 p.m. and each session lasts for about 30 to 40 minutes. If you have any questions during the live or after the live, please put them down in the comments below and we'll try our best to answer them. And lastly, you can also find all the material that we share with you in each lesson on a link in the description below as well. So please make sure to access that. So yeah, let's get right into the lesson then. So let's get right into the lesson. Just give me a minute. I'm having a bit of audio issues here. Yeah, hope my voice is clear now. Okay, guys, so quickly now for the first 2 to 3 minutes, as we do always, let's do a quick recap of all our exercises. So firstly, the shoulder drop. Take a deep breath. So once again, let's try that out. Great. So this will loosen up your upper body. Now, left to right with the neck. So if you're joining us for the first time, don't worry, just follow me. For those of you who have been following the course, you know exactly what to do, right? So first left to right with the neck, and then up and down, and then clockwise and anti-clockwise. Let's begin quickly. Up and down. And clockwise and anti-clockwise. Great job. Now quickly moving on. The next thing is the mouth exercises. Let's just do one. Let's open our mouth as wide as possible and slowly close it. Great. Now the tongue exercise, that is to stretch your tongue as far low as possible and then slowly retract it back. So this will reduce any tongue tension. So let's start. Slowly retract it back once again. Okay guys, great job. Now the last couple of exercises, one is of course just humming any note that you're comfortable with, so you warm up. So let's just take any note. For me, a middle note would be See how I made it loud there? Now let's just make it softer. Great. Now the yawn technique. Force yourself to yawn so that it opens up your throat. Once again. Yes, great job. And now the last one is the lip trills, right? So let's just do one quick lip trill from low to high and then back high to low. So again, burr sound, not pa, and with your fingers on your cheeks so your lips don't come off, right? And only till you run out of air. So Don't worry about where your voice switches. That's just where your voice will crack even when you're singing. So one last time. Okay, great job. Hope you are all completely warmed up now. So let's start off with today's lesson then, guys. So last class we saw a new song. We started learning a new song. Now let's move forward. Before that, I want to quickly recap what we studied in last class. So if you haven't joined us for last class, you can take a look at this. So let me share the PDF that I have prepared for you guys. Okay, so last class we covered the concepts of chords, arpeggios, and octaves, right? So for those of you who did not join us last week, let me give you a quick recap. So chords are basically when you play multiple notes, usually 3 at the same time. So on the guitar, if I'm playing this is called an arpeggio because we are picking the notes individually. But if I just strum it, this is a chord. And of course, for singers, you cannot sing multiple notes at the same time. So arpeggios is where we can do our exercises in. So once again, this is a chord and this is an arpeggio. Hope that's clear. So let's take a look at the definition now. Multiple notes, usually 3 played at the same time, are called chords. And when the notes of the chord are sung or played individually, that is one by one, like I did just now, it is called an arpeggio. And arpeggios are great vocal exercises to help you develop better pitching. Pitching is nothing but, as we know, singing in tune or singing in the right key or scale, as we have looked at in the previous lessons. Now, what is an octave? So last week we also looked at octave, and that is going to be our general discussion, the main topic for today, that is octaves and vocal ranges. Before we go to that topic, let us again just quickly recap that an octave is basically the 8th note, 8th interval away from our starting note. So if you're starting on do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, or sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni, sa, right? So if you're joining us for the first time and you're more familiar with the Indian classical notes, you'll recognize this one better. So the do to do, that is called an octave. Why octave? Because oct means 8, and this is the 8th note from the starting point or the root. Or sa, sa, that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? So that is essentially the octave. So before we move forward, for those of you who missed last class, again, I also mentioned about singing in tune, that is singing in pitch. So you can download an app called Perfect Piano, where it's a free app. If you don't have an instrument, you can use that to play a note and then sing it, try to match it and tune yourself. So if you're singing higher, you can tune yourself low. If you're singing lower, and you can tune yourself higher, just like how you would tune a guitar, right? And that's Perfect Piano. And if you're still having trouble with knowing if you're exactly matching it or not, you can download another app called Tuner Pitched, TUNERPITCHED. We go in depth about this in the previous lesson, so you can go watch that. So you can use these 2 apps on 2 phones to help you in pitching. Great. Now today's topic is really interesting, and this is something that a lot of people have asked us about, and a lot of singers, especially amateur or semi-professional singers, want to know, right? So this is octaves and vocal ranges, right? So for now, let me quickly, so hope you can see this clearly. So now, octaves are basically, as I mentioned, the 8th note, that is the 8th interval. But if we look at a keyboard like this now, so instead of having do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, or sa, re, ga, ma, pa, dha, ni, sa, we can refer to the notes on the keyboard as C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and again back to C. So C to C is 1 octave. So if I'm looking at, forget about the black keys for now, just focus on the white keys. So if we have C, D, E, F, G, A, B, that is forming 1 octave. So this image here has the octave, that is the third octave, the fourth octave, and the fifth octave, right? So the keyboard or a piano will have octaves 1 to 7. Obviously, octave 1 will be low in pitch, octave 7 will be the highest in pitch, and in the middle, as we keep going higher, second octave will be higher than first, third higher than second, and so on, right? And most singers' voices can be broadly classified into the following categories based on the vocal ranges, that is, the lowest and the highest singable notes, right? So vocal ranges are really important. So octaves helps us there to figure out our vocal range from which note in which octave to which note in which octave. So we'll have a limit, right? A lower limit and a higher limit. So that is what our vocal range is. Before we begin with listening to a few examples and also looking at different vocal types in both male singers and female singers, I want to tell you a quick general point that most boys or men sing or speak in general in between octaves 2 to 5, right? And most women or girls sing or speak between octaves 3 to 6. Of course, there are exceptions like in everything else, but for now, this is a good point to know. For men, it's between octaves 2 to 5, speaking and singing. And for women, it's between octaves 3 to 6, right? Okay, so now let's move forward. And as it's mentioned here, most singers' voices can be broadly classified into following categories depending on the range. So let's move forward to male vocal types. So if you're a boy or if you're a man and you are singing, also I would like to make another point that if you're under the age, if you're a boy and you're under the age of 13 or 14 or 15, your voice might not have changed as of yet. So you might not, you might be facing a bit of trouble in hitting all the notes that you could before if you have had singing experience before. So don't worry. This is mainly for people whose voice has already changed, right? That is where you hit puberty and your voice undergoes a transformation. It becomes deeper. So if you're a singer who's in your early teens, don't worry if these don't apply to you fully, okay? Okay, now in the male voice types, the first one or the lowest one is called a bass. So again, today's lesson until we reach the song is going to be a bit theory heavy, but this is very, very, very important, guys, to sort of know where you are right now. Again, ranges can be extended with the right amount of training, but at the end of the day, it's not by too much. If you are a low baritone, maybe you can become a high baritone. If you're a low bass or a high bass, you can probably stretch it lower, but it's not possible to stretch it way too much, right? So because what you have is your vocal cords and your vocal folds. It depends on the thickness and how they interact with each other when you're singing. A lot of factors go into determining your voice. So please, before you get into like figuring out your range and feeling sad for some reason that, oh, maybe I can't sing as low as I want to, or I can't sing as high as I want to, please don't worry. With the right training, you can reach your optimum range. But at the same time, embrace the uniqueness of your voice, because every voice is really unique and you can create magic with your voice. So we will be looking at different examples, so that gives you more confidence to embrace the voice type that you are, right? Okay, so the first one is a bass. So if we see the definition, this is the lowest voice type seen in men, and usually the range spans from a D2 or E2, that is the D or E in octave 2, to D4 or E4, right? So these are fairly low notes. So if we just have a look at it here, this keyboard has only starting from octave 3, but an octave lower than this. So a D2 or an E2 till probably here somewhere, that is a D4 or an E4. And most people have an octave range of about 1.5 to 2 octaves or some, if you're an untrained singer, it may just be one octave. Don't worry, with practice you can extend this. Okay, so this is the lowest range, that's the bass, and the range spans from a D2 or E2 from or to a D4 or E4, right? So Johnny Cash and Barry White are two famous examples of baritone singers. So I have a few audio clippings for you guys. We're not playing videos just to avoid switching the tabs and the screen too many times. So let me just play a snippet for you. This is Johnny Cash, the late great Johnny Cash.
I hurt myself today to see if I still feel.
So this is Barry White. Okay, so we just played a couple of audio snippets. If you heard this, I'm sure your ears heard how low these voices are, right? But they still make it work. Any voice can sound beautiful if used in the right way. So these are examples of famous bass singers. The next is baritone, which is the middle and also the most common voice type in men. Usually the range spans from a little higher, that is an F2 or G2 on the keyboard, or if you're thinking of do, re, mi, fa, I can say fa or a so on the second octave to a fa or a so on the fourth octave, right? So this is a baritone voice. This is the most common, so most men would be in this range compared to a bass or the higher voice, that's the tenor. Right, so and the examples here are John Legend, John Mayer, Billy Joe Armstrong of the band Green Day. They're famous baritone singers. Let me quickly play a couple of snippets which I'm sure you'll recognize. This is John Legend.
What would I do without your smart mouth? Drawing me in and you kicking me out.
Let me forward that a bit. So this is a fairly middle range voice, and again this is John Mayer. So here he's also a baritone, but again his voice is much lighter compared to John Legend. So this was John Mayer, both really great artists in their own right. And now coming to the highest voice range, that's the tenor. This is the highest voice type seen in men and the most common in modern pop music. So until the 90s and 2000s, it was very common to hear baritones, but these days it seems like tenors are all the rage in pop music, especially in the West. Not so much in India, but I mean, it is also the trend here in India. If you listen to singers these days compared to singers of the past, they have a much higher voice. So Michael Jackson and Bruno Mars are famous examples. This is also the range usually spans between a C3, that is a C3 here, to a C5. So that is the highest range in men. So let me play a couple of snippets now. This is Bruno Mars. Now the next one is of course the late great Michael Jackson. Don't wanna see no blood, don't be a macho man. You wanna be tough, better do what you can, so beat it. But you wanna be bad, just beat it. There's no one wants to beat it. So if you heard this one, you do recognize that their voices are much higher compared to the basses or baritones. Right, so quickly let's move forward to the female voice types. It's very similar in the female voice types as well. One is the alto, which is the lowest voice type, and the range usually spans from an E3 or F3 to E5 or F5. And Dua Lipa, Sade, Tracy Chapman are some famous examples. Of course, I think Oh, sorry, it's written bass here, but it's supposed to be alto singers. So sorry for the mistake there. And alto singers are basically the lowest voice type. They have a very dark, dusky sort of a tone. I'm sure you know, a lot of you know who Dua Lipa is because she's one of the biggest pop stars on the planet right now. Let me play a couple of snippets. This is Dua Lipa.
Somewhere in the middle, I think I lied a little. I said if we took it there, I wasn't gonna change. But now.
So for a female voice, that's pretty deep, right? And now this is Sade, one of my favorite old school singers. This is Smooth Operator from 1984.
You move in space with minimum waste, maximum joy. City lights and business nights.
So this was Sade, and then the next two examples, the next category is mezzo. That is the middle and also the most common voice type in women, including in modern pop music. So in pop music, there are some very high voices, but most female singers would fall under the mezzo category. Usually the range spans from somewhere between A3 to an A5 on the keyboard. And Taylor Swift, Adele, and Selena Gomez, all really big names, right? They're all mezzo singers. So let me quickly play a Taylor Swift song for you.
'Cause I knew you were trouble when you walked in. So shame on me now, blew me to places I've never been.
So this is Taylor Swift, and of course, Adele is a very different type of singer. Her voice texture is very different, but she also falls under the mezzo category depending on her range.
When I am drowning in this silence, baby, let me in.
So that was Adele. And again, guys, so if you heard, both their voices were very different. So range is just one aspect in singing. So try to develop your control of your voice and your special texture that you have. So your voice is only your own. So try and develop that. So now the last one is the soprano. This is the highest voice type seen in women. The range usually spans from a C4 to a C6. Ariana Grande, Whitney Houston, and Camila Cabello are famous examples of soprano singers. So let me quickly play Ariana's.
See me from your point of view.
I wanna trust me,
Trust me, the way that you trust me. Ooh, no, nobody ever.
So that was Ariana Grande. This is Camila Cabello.
Nicotine, heroin, morphine. Suddenly on my feet, and you all I need, all I need. Yeah, all I need.
So you see that their voices are much higher, right, compared to the previous voice types that we looked at. Now we're running out of time, so let's quickly move forward, guys. If you have any questions, please put it in the chat box or in the comments below whenever you're seeing this live, whether it's right now or later, and we'll answer your questions. Now, finding out your vocal range. So start with a low note in the third octave. So if you have an instrument, that's great. If not, you can download the Perfect Piano app and try to match the pitch by singing the notes. You can sing just an ah or an ooh or whatever works for you. And note down the points where your voice breaks or cracks as well, and where you might switch to a higher voice. So it's very common for people, instead of straining, sometimes they might crack and they might switch from a voice that sounds like ooh to ooh, right? Note down all the points, all the notes. This becomes very important for you. And then knowing your vocal range can help you in choosing the right songs to sing or perform for your voice. So make sure you know your range, and that is when you can choose to sing the right songs in the right scale. But don't worry, even if your favorite song is beyond your range, you can always change the scale or key of the song to sing it within your comfortable range, right? So if you want to sing an Ariana Grande song but you don't quite have the range, you can always start on a lower note, so the higher note also becomes lower relative to that. So this is what we call changing the scale or the key of the song. And most singers will have an approximate usable range of somewhere around 2 octaves. About 1 octave in these notes is where your voice generally sounds at its best. So this is called your tessitura. So tessitura is, it might sound like a complex term, but the best way to figure it out is think of your favorite song, just close your eyes, take a deep breath and start singing. Say for example, all of me loves all of you. So this is my default comfortable range. Usually about 12 notes, that is one octave, is where your tessitura lies. So figuring this out is fairly simple by just singing. Think of a song and just sing it, and that is usually where you're most comfortable singing. And try to perfect that part of your range first, because that is where you sound the best and your voice can shine through there, right? And the last one, as I've mentioned before, use the apps Perfect Piano and Tuner Pitched to help with figuring out your vocal range and also for singing in tune, that is pitching practice. So it's this is the best way to figure out your vocal range. That is your current range. This is not a cap. There's no cap on it. You can probably increase it or even go below the notes that you can sing right now, but all it takes is a bit of practice. Cool. Now that we have done that, also we would love to listen to what you have discovered about your vocal range. So once you try this out, please put them down in the comments below. We would love to read it and also answer any questions that you have, right? Okay guys, so now in just 3 minutes, let's quickly move on to a recap of singing arpeggios like the last time. And as we mentioned, do, mi, so and the octave note do are usually the most common and most used arpeggio notes that is within the solfege pattern. And these are the 7 patterns that we gave last class for you guys to practice. Let's do a quick recap. So the first one will go, so sing after me, do, mi, so. Now just try it yourself. 1, 2, 3, start. Now backwards, so, mi, do. Right, your turn. Great job. Now in the second one, we're just adding one extra note, that is the octave note. It is, and so it's do, mi, so, do. That's the octave note. So your turn. And backwards now. Do, so, mi, do. Your turn. Great job guys. Now let's move forward to the next one, that is do, re, so. So it's not do, mi, so anymore. It's do, re, so. It's not do, mi, so, but do, re, so. Your turn now. Now backwards. So, re, do. You try it now. So singing arpeggios helps you strengthen your pitching as well as jumping between different solfege notes, right? So the next one is do, fa, so. That is, so this is do, fa, so, do, fa, so. Your turn. And backwards. So, fa, do, so, fa, do. Your turn. Great. Now the next one is do, so and the octave note do. So do, so, do. Your turn. And backwards. Do, so, do. Try it out. Great. Now the last but one, the sixth one is do, la, do. That is this note, that is la. So it is You try. And backwards. Do, la, do. Now the last one is do, ti, do. Try that out. Great job. Now backwards. Do, ti, do. These bigger jumps may be a bit tricky. Do, ti, do. Okay, lovely. So now let's move on to the song that we were learning last class. So first I'll give you time to look at the lyrics. We'll also recap what we learned last class, and then you won't have the lyrics on screen anymore, but you guys have to sing with me, right? Okay, so the recap of what we did last time was just the verses. The verse parts is what we did. The first verse and the second verse, they basically have the same tunes. So let's just see how they sound. So that's the key. See the sun shining in the window. So, see the sun shining in the window. Okay? Time to start a new day. So, see the sun shining in the window. Time to start a new day. Right? That is how the melody goes. So, let's slow it down. See the sun shining in the window. So it goes from down to up and then comes back from up to down, right? And window, it goes up again. Time to start a new day. So here there's a jump. Time to start a new day. Right? And then the next two lines are the same. Can't you hear the songbird singing? So it starts from high. Can't you hear? Goes up and then comes back down. The songbird singing. Then only the last syllable, singing, it goes high again. Can't you hear the songbird singing? And then they're gonna sing out loud and say. So it's again. They're gonna sing out. So here you go high again. So if you're not able to sing it right now, you can either switch to a falsetto. Sing out. That's fine as long as you hit the right pitch. And loud and say. So this is the same, right? And I'll quickly show you the verse 2 as well. Look around, there's a world of beauty, from the mountains to the sea. There's a wonder around every corner, awaiting there for you and me. So here it's exactly the same, where you go high, where you go low. Only thing to note here is, and there's a wonder around. You don't have to sing around every corner. It's round. It's just R-O-U-N-D. It's, even though the word is around, you just don't sing the because it'll just make the flow a bit harsh, right? So now let's quickly, you haven't seen my face in a long time, so hi. And so let me quickly sing it, and each line, the verse 1 and verse 2, and I want you to sing it after me. If you have any doubts, put it down in the comments below. Then we'll take a look at the first 4 lines of the chorus today for you to practice, and we'll be wrapping up the chorus in the next class. So let's start. See the sun shining in the window. Your turn. Time to start a new day. Can't you hear the songbird singing? Great. They're gonna sing out loud and say, great job. Now let's move forward to verse 2. I'm singing. I know you don't have the lyrics in front of you, but I want you to follow me. So listen carefully. Look around, there's a world of beauty. From the mountains to the sea, there's a wonder around every corner, waiting there for you and me. Great job. So guys, again, that last note in the last line, the note in the last line, waiting there for, you have to switch to the higher pitch. So if you can't do it right now, don't worry. For, that works as well. You can switch to your falsetto or your head voice, as we call it, with that airy light sound. But the healthy way to do it is to push your air upwards instead of pushing down on your throat. This causes a lot of strain here, but when you push your air and the sound, the power of the sound upwards towards your nose, even if you sound a bit nasal like you're singing from your nose, don't worry, that's perfectly healthy. We'll be looking at nasal resonance and your chest and head voice and all these topics much later as well. So if you can't sing the note, just sing it in your falsetto, that is ooh, that sort of a sound. And if you are singing it, if you can push it, don't push it with your throat by pushing your throat down, but push your sound or the air upwards. It's more of a visual thing, not see, it's straining here, but and I'm pushing upwards, and you can feel vibrations here near your nose and your cheeks, and it will sound a bit nasal, right? And that's perfectly fine. That's completely healthy. Okay, now let me quickly switch to the chorus. So the chorus is not very easy in terms of pitch, even though the melody is pretty fine, especially compared to the previous song that you guys learned, that is Do a Deer. This is slightly trickier, right? So that is our aim with the course, to make you better singers with each lesson. So now, if you see the chorus, it's basically, so the verse ends with, can't you hear birds singing? They're gonna sing out loud and say, and then the chorus starts, that it's a beautiful day for running in the sun. So, that it's a beautiful day for running in the sun. Na 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 na. You're going higher. Na 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 na. Then you're coming a bit low, right? It's a beautiful day for running in the sun. Again, it's a beautiful. The next thing is, a beautiful day has just begun. So the way you sing this is slightly different. So let me sing the whole thing for you, then you'll get a better picture. It's a beautiful day for running in the sun. A beautiful day has just begun. A beautiful day to do what I wanna do. So this is how it should sound. That it's a beautiful day for running in the sun. A beautiful day has just begun. A beautiful day to do what I wanna do. So that is how it should sound. So let's take it line by line one more time. You can practice this. If the pitch is hard, do the same as what I told you before, that with the last line of the verse. Okay, let's do this. It's a beautiful day for running in the sun. A beautiful day has just begun. A beautiful day to do what I wanna do. Right, one last time, repeat after me. So let's take it from the end of the verse now. Can't you hear the songbirds singing? They're gonna sing out loud and say that it's a beautiful day for running in the sun. Your turn. A beautiful day has just begun. A beautiful day to do what I wanna do. Ah, your turn now. Ah. Great job, guys. So this was the chorus of the song. We will look at the next few lines. That's the second half of the chorus in the next class. And we'll also wrap up with the song. And in the session that is 2 weeks down the line, you guys should be ready to perform the whole one along with me. The whole song, you need to know the lyrics, you need to know the melodies, you need to know which scale and which pitch works for you. So that is it for today's class. Again, if you have any doubts, please reach out to us in the comments below and we'll get back to you. And as always, keep practicing. If you've not watched the previous lessons, please go back to that. And there'll be a lot of stuff for you to learn before this point right here, right? So we've done the 6th lesson already. Great job. I'm really proud and really happy with how far you guys have come. There's a lot more to go. This is a 6-month course, so we're just 25% there right now. We're just quarter of the way there. There's a lot more to learn, and I'm sure you'll be much better singers by the time the course is done, right? And lastly, for those of you who don't use the SIF Young Artist app, please make sure to download it, and you can get all the material and the video content on the app as well. So I'll see you every Monday at 4 p.m. I'll see you next Monday. Please keep practicing, keep singing. I'll see you next week at the same time. Take care. Have a great evening. Bye-bye.